The Raven's Rest was a place where stories intertwined with reality, where the past lingered in the present, especially in the eyes of its patrons. The bar's original nameplate, half peeling, welcomed everyone into a world laced with lore. Late one stormy night, Ethan Blackwell, the beloved bartender of this historic establishment, was preparing to close up. Ethan, a tall, broad-shouldered man in his 30s, had a perpetual twinkle in his eye and a booming laugh that could chase away the darkest shadows. The patrons loved his charming tales and impeccable memory for their favorite drinks. The bar was almost deserted, save for an elderly man with an aura of secrecy, cloaked in a trench coat, and a somber woman named Eleanor, who often sought solitude at the bar's farthest corner. As the storm raged outside, the atmosphere within the Raven's Rest grew tense. Eleanor and #039's usual melancholic demeanor seemed deeper that night, her eyes clouded with unshed tears. Ethan, noticing her distress, walked over to offer a comforting word, but before he could speak, the elderly man caught his attention with a subtle nod and a cryptic whisper, "Beware the shadows, for they seek more than shelter." Ethan was bewildered but intrigued, given his penchant for mysteries. He finished serving Eleanor her usual drink, a delicate concoction of mint and thyme, and turned to the stranger. The man introduced himself as Victor, an old acquaintance of Ethan's grandfather, who had once owned the bar. Victor spoke in hushed tones about a hidden room within the bar, a place where past owners kept secrets that should remain buried. Intrigued by Victor's tale, Ethan agreed to explore the hidden room with him. They moved stealthily to the bar's back, where an old wooden panel concealed a staircase leading to a cellar. The air grew colder as they descended, and a sense of unease washed over Ethan. The cellar was filled with dusty relics, old bottles, yellowed parchments, and broken mirrors. In the center stood an ornate wooden box, intricately carved with symbols Ethan couldn't decipher. Victor's eyes gleamed with a mix of fear and fascination as he urged Ethan to open the box. The minute Ethan touched the lid, a chilling sensation ran through his spine, and the storm intensified outside. As he lifted the lid, he found a silver amulet resting on a velvet cloth. An overpowering shadow engulfed the room, and Victor's expression turned to one of horror as he whispered, "Forgive me." In an instant, Ethan felt himself being pulled into the darkness, with Victor and #039's anguished screams echoing in his ears. The storm ceased abruptly, leaving the bar in an eerie silence. When Eleanor went to check on Ethan, she found the hidden room empty except for the open box, the amulet, and a lingering sense of dread. Ethan Blackwell was never seen again, and the Raven's Rest became a place of legends and ghost stories, with tales of Ethan's ghostly presence haunting those who dared to visit after dark, serving drinks to patrons with a shadowy twinkle in his eye. The Raven's Rest remained a hub of intrigue and unease long after Ethan Blackwell's mysterious disappearance. Whispers of ghostly sightings spread rapidly among the patrons, each story seemingly more chilling than the last. One particularly eerie night, Anna, a regular who frequented the bar, decided to share her spine-chilling experience. It was a cold, stormy evening when Anna first noticed something amiss. The bar was nearly empty, save for a few regulars huddled in corners and the occasional flicker of the dimly lit candles. Anna had found her usual spot at the back of the bar, savoring the warmth of her favorite drink as the rain pattered against the windows. As she nursed her drink, a strange feeling washed over her, a sense of being watched. She glanced around, but saw nothing out of the ordinary. Shrugging it off as her imagination, she returned to her thoughts. The bar's atmosphere grew eerier by the minute, the flickering candlelight casting dancing shadows on the walls. It was then that she noticed a figure behind the bar, moving with an odd fluidity. The bartender was dressed in an old-fashioned suit, reminiscent of a bygone era. His face was partially obscured by the dim light, but his presence was unmistakably unsettling. Anna couldn't shake the feeling of familiarity, as though she had seen him before. Curious yet apprehensive, Anna approached the bar and took a seat. The ghostly bartender turned towards her, his hollow eyes glinting with an otherworldly light. He placed a glass in front of her and with an unsettlingly calm voice, asked, "What will it be tonight, miss?" Anna, her voice trembling, replied, "Just a whiskey, please." The bartender nodded and began to pour the drink with practiced ease. As he did, Anna's eyes widened in recognition. The man standing before her was Ethan Blackwell, the bartender who vanished without a trace. Her hands shook slightly as she took the glass, unable to tear her gaze away from his ghostly figure. Gathering her courage, Anna whispered, "Ethan, is that you?" The bartender's eyes met hers, and for a brief moment, an expression of sadness and longing crossed his spectral face. Before he could respond, a sudden gust of wind blew through the bar, extinguishing the candles in a swift, cold embrace. The room was plunged into darkness, and when the lights flickered back on, Ethan was gone. Anna sat in stunned silence, the glass of whiskey still clutched in her hand. The other patrons, unaware of her encounter, continued their conversations as though nothing had happened. She knew she had witnessed something extraordinary, a fleeting glimpse of a soul trapped between worlds. From that night on, Anna shared her experience with others, adding her tale to the growing legend of the Raven's Rest. Each retelling left listeners with a sense of awe and fear, knowing that the ghostly bartender still served drinks to the brave, or the foolish, who dared to visit the haunted bar after dark. The atmosphere at the Raven's Rest grew increasingly unsettling as the days passed. Regulars, once accustomed to the bar's eerie ambience, began to notice strange occurrences that defied explanation. Objects moved on their own, glasses slid across the bar without a single touch, chairs creaked and rocked as if possessed by unseen forces, and the air often grew icy cold in certain spots. Bar staff started to hear whispers, soft and indistinct, as if secrets were being shared in the shadows. The whispers seemed to originate from nowhere and everywhere at once, enveloping the bar in an unnerving symphony of ghostly voices. Patrons reported feeling sudden chills, as if ghostly fingers brushed against their skin. The once welcoming warmth of the Raven's Rest was now tainted by an inescapable sense of dread. Eleanor, a longtime patron, claimed to have seen reflections in the mirrors, pale, spectral faces staring back at her, eyes filled with sorrow and longing. The staff tried to remain composed, but the mounting fear was palpable. Late at night, when the bar was nearly empty, the ghostly presence of Ethan Blackwell seemed strongest, his shadowy figure spotted serving drinks or watching over the patrons with a spectral twinkle in his eye. The mystery of Ethan's disappearance deepened, leaving the staff and regulars to wonder if the bar was truly haunted or if something even more sinister lurked beneath the surface. A chilling discovery came to light when a historian named Dr. Harper, intrigued by the tales of the Raven's Rest, delved into its murky past. Dusty archives and old newspaper clippings led her to a dark and tragic tale that had long been hidden from the world. Ethan Blackwell, the beloved bartender whose ghostly presence still haunted the bar, had met a gruesome fate. According to Dr. Harper and #039's research, Ethan had been deeply in love with a woman named Lydia, a regular patron of the bar. Their romance was an open secret, known to all who frequented the establishment. However, Lydia's former lover, consumed by jealousy and rage, couldn't bear to see her with Ethan. Driven to a breaking point, he confronted Ethan one stormy night after closing time. Their altercation turned violent, and in a fit of fury, Lydia and #039's ex-lover struck Ethan down, silencing him forever. To conceal his crime, the murderer hid Ethan's body in a hidden room within the bar, leaving it to decay and be forgotten. But Ethan's spirit could not rest. Bound by love and injustice, he remained tethered to the Raven and #039's Rest, serving drinks to the living while searching for eternal peace. Dr. Harper's revelation sent shivers down the spines of those who heard it, adding a horrifying new chapter to the legend of the Raven's Rest. The spectral presence of Ethan Blackwell had grown stronger and more unsettling at the Raven's Rest. Glasses shattered without reason, and patrons felt unseen hands brush against them. Whispers filled the air, turning even the bravest of souls wary. Desperate to put an end to these occurrences, the bar staff decided to call in a medium named Eliza, known for her ability to communicate with restless spirits. Eliza arrived one moonlit night, her demeanor calm and resolute. As she stepped into the bar, the temperature dropped noticeably, and flickering shadows danced across the walls. She set up her tools, a small table with candles, a crystal ball, and aged tarot cards. The staff and a few regulars gathered, their faces tense with anticipation. Eliza began the séance, calling out to Ethan's spirit with a soothing, melodic voice. The air grew thick with palpable energy, and the ghostly figure of Ethan appeared behind the bar, his eyes filled with sorrow. Eliza spoke gently to him, urging him to share his pain and reveal what bound him to this world. With a faint, echoing voice, Ethan recounted the tragic night of his murder, the love he had for Lydia, and the betrayal that led to his untimely demise. Tears streamed down his ghostly face as Eliza listened intently. She assured him that justice had been uncovered and urged him to let go of his earthly ties. Eliza performed a final ritual, invoking a sense of peace and closure. As the ritual concluded, Ethan's apparition began to fade, a look of serene gratitude on his spectral face. The atmosphere of the bar lightened, as the weight of Ethan's sorrow lifted, leaving the Raven's Rest in a state of peace it had not known for decades. With Eliza's final ritual completed, Ethan's spirit found the peace it had long sought. The once ominous atmosphere of the Raven's Rest lightened, the oppressive weight that had haunted the bar lifting in the candlelit air. The patrons and staff, who had witnessed the ghostly bartender and #039's final moments, felt a collective sigh of relief. However, despite Ethan's departure, the Raven's Rest was forever changed. The bar, once known for its lively ambience, now carried an eerie legend, whispered among the remaining patrons. Shadows seemed to linger a little longer, and the old wooden floors creaked with memories of the past. The awakened history was ingrained in the very walls that had once concealed the shocking truth. Regulars spoke of the night when the medium released Ethan's spirit, recounting the haunting details with a blend of awe and fear. New visitors arrived, drawn by the macabre allure of the haunted bar, hoping to catch a glimpse of the legendary ghost. The Raven's Rest thrived on its newfound fame, yet a lingering chill remained, a constant reminder that some spirits leave an indelible mark. Ethan Blackwell and #039's story was etched in the annals of the Raven's Rest, a testament to love, betrayal, and the unyielding grip of the supernatural. The bar stood as a silent witness to his tale, forever cloaked in an atmosphere that was both inviting and unnerving. Though Ethan had found his peace, his presence would never truly be forgotten. The blue moon was packed that fateful night, the air buzzing with excitement as patrons eagerly awaited the performance of the renowned musician, Jack and the maestro and Harper. Jack, known for his soulful melodies and electrifying stage presence, was the heart and soul of the bar. The dim lights cast a warm glow over the stage, and the crowd and #039's anticipation was palpable. As Jack took the stage, his fingers danced effortlessly over the piano keys, filling the room with a hauntingly beautiful melody. The audience was entranced, swaying to the rhythm of his music. But as the night wore on, an eerie tension began to build. Jack and #039's playing grew more intense, his face contorted with a mix of passion and pain. Suddenly, in the middle of a particularly powerful crescendo, Jack and #039's hands faltered. He clutched his chest, his expression one of sheer agony. The music came to an abrupt halt, and a hush fell over the crowd. Jack collapsed onto the piano, his final notes echoing hauntingly through the silent bar. Panic ensued as patrons rushed to his aid, but it was too late. Jack Harper, the maestro, had played his last song. The blue moon was forever changed that night, the memory of Jack and #039's tragic end lingering like a ghostly melody, haunting the bar and its patrons. In the weeks following Jack Harper and #039's tragic demise on stage at the Blue Moon, patrons and performers began to notice unsettling phenomena. The once lively bar was now shrouded in an eerie stillness, broken only by the occasional ghostly melody. One evening, as the bar's pianist practiced, the keys began playing on their own, producing Jack and #039's signature tune. The pianist froze, heart pounding, as the unseen force continued the haunting melody. Instruments stored away in the dusty corners would suddenly resonate with chilling notes, as if invisible hands were coaxing music from beyond the grave. Performers reported feeling cold drafts, even when no doors or windows were open. The temperature would plummet inexplicably, and patrons would shiver, feeling an unseen presence brush past them. The Blue Moon resonated with whispers of spectral energy, a sense that Jack and #039's spirit lingered, bound to the stage that had claimed his life. Guests would often hear disembodied echoes of Jack's soulful compositions, filling the bar with a melancholic ambience. These eerie encounters left patrons and staff alike both fascinated and terrified, as the legend of the Blue Moon grew with each mysterious event. Jack Harper and #039's legacy had transformed into a spectral symphony, forever haunting the hearts and minds of all who set foot in the bar. As time passed, Jack Harper's ghostly presence at the Blue Moon became more aggressive and unsettling. The once beloved musician, now a tormented spirit, began to disrupt the very performances that were meant to honor his memory. The haunting melodies that initially intrigued patrons turned into jarring, discordant notes. Instruments trembled and clattered to the floor, guitars strummed violently by invisible hands. Microphones emitted blood-curdling feedback, and the stage lights flickered ominously. The spirit and #039's resentment grew palpable, and the air seemed to vibrate with Jack's unresolved anguish. One night, as a band attempted to play a tribute to Jack, the spirit and #039's wrath reached a fever pitch. The band members felt a chilling presence push past them, and suddenly, the drums began to play on their own, creating a deafening cacophony. Patrons screamed and fled as the ghostly figure of Jack manifested, his once comforting aura now a terrifying specter of anger and sorrow. Regulars stopped visiting, and performers refused to play at the Blue Moon, fearing the wrath of the vengeful spirit. The once vibrant bar became a place of fear, where the ghost of Jack Harper held dominion, his anger scaring away anyone who dared to disturb his eternal lament. Determined to understand the root of the disturbances plaguing the Blue Moon, the bar owner, Max, began to delve into Jack Harper's past. Flipping through old records, newspaper clippings, and personal journals, Max unraveled a heartbreaking tale that tied Jack's restless spirit to a tragic love affair and betrayal. Jack Harper had been deeply in love with a fellow musician named Clara, a talented violinist whose beauty and grace captivated everyone. Their love blossomed under the stage lights, but the harmony between them was shattered by jealousy and deceit. Clara's former lover, Thomas, a cunning and vengeful man, couldn't bear to see her with Jack. In his quest for revenge, Thomas devised a plan to ruin Jack's career and reputation. He spread malicious rumors, sabotaged Jack's performances, and engineered public humiliations. The relentless onslaught drove a wedge between Jack and Clara, leading to their tragic separation. The final blow came on the night of Jack's last performance. Thomas, consumed by his jealousy, confronted Jack backstage. A heated argument ensued, and in a fit of rage, Thomas dealt a fatal blow to Jack, forever entwining their fates. Jack's love and betrayal were etched in the notes of his haunting music, and his spirit remained bound to the Blue Moon, searching for closure. Max's revelations cast a new light on the haunting, framing Jack and #039's spirit as a victim of a love story turned tragic. Determined to bring peace to the tormented soul, Max resolved to confront Jack and #039's past head-on, hoping to turn the bar from a place of fear to one of redemption. Determined to put an end to the haunting chaos at the Blue Moon, Max called in a renowned paranormal investigation team. The group, led by the enigmatic Dr. Fiona Graves, arrived one foggy evening, equipped with state-of-the-art ghost hunting equipment and a wealth of experience in dealing with restless spirits. The team set up their gear throughout the bar: EMF detectors, thermal cameras, and digital voice recorders. The atmosphere grew tense as the investigators began their work, moving methodically through the dimly lit space. The air was thick with anticipation, and the shadows seemed to draw closer with each passing moment. Dr. Graves, a calm and focused leader, initiated the contact with Jack and #039's spirit. She spoke in soothing tones, addressing Jack directly, coaxing him to reveal his presence. Almost immediately, the investigators detected a spike in their readings. Cold drafts swept through the room, and the sound of Jack's haunting music echoed faintly. As they continued their investigation, the team captured chilling EVP, electronic voice phenomenon, recordings, whispers of Jack's sorrow and anger, his longing for peace. Dr. Graves listened intently, piecing together the tragic puzzle of Jack's past. The spirit's presence grew stronger, and the investigators felt a deep, pervasive sadness. Determined to help, Dr. Graves and her team worked tirelessly to communicate with Jack, understanding his intentions. They were resolved to bring closure to his tormented soul, hoping to transform the Blue Moon from a place of fear into one of redemption and peace. With a clear understanding of Jack Harper's tormented past, Dr. Fiona Graves and her paranormal investigation team devised a plan to bring peace to his restless spirit. They decided to organize a tribute performance, honoring Jack and #039's musical legacy in helping his soul find closure. The bar was meticulously prepared for the event, adorned with candles and photographs of Jack's iconic performances. Musicians from all over gathered, ready to play Jack's haunting melodies one last time. The air was charged with anticipation and hope, as patrons and performers alike filled the Blue Moon. As the tribute began, the musicians' notes intertwined with the ghostly echoes of Jack's own compositions. The atmosphere was thick with emotion, and the presence of Jack's spirit felt stronger than ever. Dr. Graves led a solemn speech, recounting Jack and #039's tragic love affair with Clara and the betrayal that bound his spirit to the bar. When the final performance reached its crescendo, a palpable shift occurred. Jack's ghostly figure appeared on the stage, a look of serene gratitude on his spectral face. The music swelled with a sense of finality, and as the last note reverberated through the room, Jack's spirit began to fade, bathed in an ethereal light. The haunting at the Blue Moon ceased, leaving behind an atmosphere of peace and reverence. The legend of Jack Harper and #039's final performance and the love that bound him to the Blue Moon lived on, forever etched in the memories of those who bore witness to the extraordinary event. The bar, now a place of tribute and honor, echoed with the stories of a musician and #039's love and redemption.